This is video 21 for College Algebra. We are going to be starting conics, and today we're going to be looking at circles and parabolas. So first of all, what is a conic section? Well, it's the intersection of a plane and a double nape cone, all right? So kind of like an hourglass. So it's all the different ways you could cut that in half. We could go straight across, kind of at a diagonal, another type of diagonal on the top, and then just kind of straight up and down through it. So we're going to be looking at all four of those today. We're just focusing on circles and parabolas. So first of all, the standard form of an equation for a circle is below. The center is at HK. So notice that H and K in our formula are negative, so in our center it will be the opposite of that. So let's go ahead and let's just get started on a example. So the first one, our center here would be at 2, -4. All right, and circles always equal a radius squared, so we're going to square root this radius, or square root this number to get our radius. So the square root of 36 is 6. All right, this next one, it's not in our standard form, so we have to put it that way. We are actually going to have to complete the square. So yet I go back and remember how to do that. So first of all, start by putting all your x's together. So I would say 3x squared minus 12x, and then I leave that space. And then we do our y's. 3y squared plus 24y plus a space. And then go ahead and throw that 39 to our other side, so it would be a minus 39. And then we add our two blanks over here. All right, so for this, so first of all, we can't really have these coefficients in the front. So first we would need to take out this coefficient. And do the same with our y's. We have the same coefficient here. Now, on our opposite side with our equal sign, whenever we add numbers over, we're going to add 3 times that number. And that's because of the coefficients that we took out from both of these. So starting off, half of 4 would be 2, or half of -4 would be 2. -2 squared would be 4. So I'm going to go ahead and add a 4 over here, and I'm just simplifying that. Half of 8 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Now when we simplify this, we keep those coefficients in the front, and we can rewrite. So you can either write it like a -2 squared, or you can actually simplify that like I did over here and put the 16. Two options of doing it. Sometimes I like writing it like this, especially when there's negatives, so I know that I'm going to have a minus sign in my parentheses. And let's see, that's going to equal 21. All right, so from here, I know exactly where my center is and my radius. So our center here is at 2, -4. And my radius is the square root of 21. All right, so that is looking at our circles. Parabolas. And we write these a little different than what we're used to. But starting off, our parabola, we've got two different things here that are new. We've got a focus and we have a directrix. The focus is going to be a fixed point inside of our parabola, okay? The directrix is a fixed line. All right, and then the vertex is the midpoint between these two. So the distance from the vertex to the focus is the same as the vertex to the directrix. Okay, and then obviously we still have an axis of symmetry. Here we're going to be looking at parabolas with an x squared. That's what we normally are used to with a u. It could be upside or sideways, or upside down or normal. And then if we've got a y squared instead, that's when our parabola is turned on its side, and it could open up to the left or to the right. And then we kind of have this new way of looking at our formulas. X squared equals 4 times p times y. Okay, well, why is p important? Well, our directrix is going to be the equation y equals negative p. All right, so it's going to be 4 units away. The focus is on the axis p units away. So if p is 2, our focus would be 2 units from the focus. So let's go ahead and jump into an example. All right, so here our vertex is centered at 0, 0. We don't have anything adding or subtracting from our x or y's. And now we have to find the rest of this. Now, I would go ahead and put it in the form that we have up here. So we would have y squared equals 2x. Since our y is squared, I know that it's going to open up to the left or to the right. It's going to look like one of these. So we have to find our p value. So I like to just put 4p is going to be equal to 2, and that's what I get from this equation. So p equals 1/2. All right, so I know my focus is p units away, so I can write that as 1/2, 0. So I'm going to go ahead and draw in my vertex, and my focus will be right up here at 1/2. Oh, I'm sorry. It's on the wrong axis. Should be up here, 1/2 this direction, to the right. That being said, our directrix is 1/2 a unit the opposite direction. So this would be -1/2, 0. And our directrix is a line. So go ahead and make that a dotted line. And again, there's a mistake. It's been a while. Directrix are a line, so we need to write that as an equation. X equals -1/2. There we go. And we get that from up here in our notes. Our directrix x equals -p, or y equals -p. And so from here we can kind of graph our quadratic. And we can just kind of estimate. You can look at a table of values, but for our sake, when we graph, it can just be an estimation. Now, if we have a parabola that is not centered at the origin, it's going to look something like one of these two equations, where we have our h and k values. H and k are going to represent our vertex. So for this one, we need to put it into a version that looks like one of these two. So again, we're going to have to complete the square. So we've got x squared minus 2x plus blank, and we're going to go ahead and subtract all the rest of this to the other side. Minus, or equals, -4y plus 3 plus a blank. All right, half of -2 is -1. -1 squared is 1. So my new equation becomes x minus 1 squared equals 4y plus 4. Now it's still not in this same format, so we've got to kind of change how the right-hand side looks. We're going to take out a GCF of -4, and then we'll have y minus 1. Now this looks how our parabola should look. Now because my x value is squared, it's going to open up or down, and we can find all the things we need to. So our vertex is centered at 1, 1. We can make a little note here. Our vertex is at h, k. So even if the k value is up in the front, just remember it's always going to be h and then k. All right, to find our p-value, we've got 4p equaling -4, and that's always how we're going to set this equation up. 4p equals something. So p equals -1. Now that we've found our p-value, we can find our focus. So it's going to be our h value, comma, k plus p. So our h value is 1, and k plus p would be 0. Okay, we can also find our directrix this way, which directrix is just our h value plus p. So here we would have y equals 2. So it changes a little bit to find your focus and directrix. You've got a couple more steps, but other than that, it's all the same. So this is parabolas and circles, the first part of our conic sections.